Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, and recently I did a video on making reverse backside vellum out of paper using stamping, and I kind of went a little bit crazy about making paper into vellum, and I thought, well, what else can I make into vellum using paper? So I went down the rabbit hole. All right, so I took a look at these, and I have these from Temu. They are invoices, and they're really thin, and I thought, well, why not try to make something out of that? So let's take this one. Nice thin. I mean, you can almost see through it without even making it into vellum. And then I thought, well, I've got these papers, which are fun. They're pretty thin, also from Temu. You can kind of see a theme from Temu that you get thin papers. So I thought, well, why not use something like that? And I also do have these, which aren't as thin. These papers are thinner scrapbook papers. I recently did that video where I made the papers into mamogami, and that was fun. Hopefully you saw that video. But I thought, well, maybe I can make something out of these. Make one of these into vellum. So I've played with them and made some stuff already, and let me show you what I've made. So this one is from one of the scrapbook papers, and I've got an invoice one, and I've got a paper one. I have two invoice ones. So as you can see, I made them into a vellum look, and you can see underneath there a journal card. Here's the other half of this paper. I made it into a journal card, and this part I made into vellum, and it sticks in there, and you can see it's not as thin as a lot of vellums, but you definitely can see something. So we made a pocket. I did put a little bit of clear boo-boo tape on there, and a clear-ish, not clear-ish, it was a vellum, sorry, a washi ticket, just to add something to the front of it. And this one, as you can see, this one had a little bit more writing on there, so it's not as clear through. It seems to work a little bit better if you want to see the picture behind it, to use more of a clearish kind of invoice. But you can definitely see the invoice behind there. Or not the invoice, you can see the rows behind there. Add a little bit of the stamping to the outside of the journal card and sewed around it. I did sew the pockets onto the journal cards because if you put a little bit of glue on these, and I don't know, I had some, I think you can still see it. I glued this down first a little bit on the bottom so it wouldn't shift, and you can still see the hint of glue on there, whereas the stitching works very well for it. And this is one of these kind of papers, and you can see the flower behind there. Very cute. Again, put a little washi type ticket on there, a little bit of the boo-boo tape on there, just as decorative, not necessarily holding it, and did stitch it, but you can definitely see the floral behind there. Let me show you on this one. This is the paper one, and it's not as bright as, but you can definitely see a little bit through there to make that. Now this version, instead of sewing it on, I used washi tape to go around the edge, and I will show you how I did that. And I glued this down instead of sewed it, if you don't have a sewing machine, because it's a little bit easier to glue the washi tape down and you don't see the excess around there. So let us make a set of these journal pockets, and I'll show you how I did them. All right, so last time I did use this priority mail, and I should have went and got some parchment paper or something like that. It probably would work a little bit better. The wax does soak into here, so I think it takes a little bit more wax than if I use some waxed paper. So do as I say, not as I do. I would probably get some wax paper or parchment paper to iron this on. Now, I did have a couple questions from the first video. I do have a crummy iron. I did set it to, and I told people cotton, and I said it was the center one, but it actually was wool. It's just kind of in the middle of the settings. Not too hot, not too cold, right in the middle. I'm gonna turn it down a little because it's been on a while too. So I have also just used, I grabbed a new one because I went through the other one playing. These are just tea lights. And you can buy beeswax in bundles, in bags. They're scented, unscented. These tea light candles are unscented. And I think you could definitely use the scented kind. And there is, I think also, like you could probably use candles, I think someone said. And but I would think if you have colored candles, you might get that color. But it'd probably be okay if you had maybe like a beige candle or something. Give it like a antique kind of look. Can't see why that wouldn't work. All right, so let's go ahead and melt this wax on there. And yeah, so if you have the parchment paper underneath it or wax paper, it tends to not soak in, and you can kind of spread the wax a little bit more, so you don't have to keep adding some to it. But this this wax isn't that expensive, or tea lights aren't that expensive, so I'm not too worried about using too much on there. But I think you'd probably be able to use less if you had the proper backing. You see it gets shiny and wet, and if you were able to move it, you could probably spread it out a little bit more. All right, so as you can see, this becomes a little bit more vellum-like. You can see the numbers underneath there. Whereas unwaxed ones, can't see it as much. Very similar in color to start, and that one you can see. So you can see the difference when you add some wax to it. It definitely makes it look more vellum-like. So if you're looking to have some printed vellum, can't find it, this is a fun way to do it. So let's do this one, which again is lighter. And we're going to throw some on there. So I would say, yeah, any sort of definitely thinnish papers would work well for this. And Timo to the rescue. Thin papers. I said it before, if you're doing this, be careful. This is very hot. Don't burn yourself. Just trying to get this last little bit that's white without having to put a little bit more on there. And make sure you use a crummy iron so you don't transfer wax to a fancy shirt when you go to iron it. And kind of like before, I should have showed it before, now you can see through it. Very fun. All right, I picked out 2 background cards to put these faux vellums to make pockets out of. This one has a bit of a slight print to it, not a lot, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to put on there. On some of the other ones I did, and they might be hard to notice, but I did stamp in the background, similar to the Mamagamis when I did those, just to give the solids a little bit of texture. Not make them so solid. This one's got the script background, and this one has the music notes background. For this one I didn't stamp it, but I grunged it a little bit darker on the outside, similar to what I did on this one, where I grunged it, and then I used my VersaFine Clair to brush on the edges to make it definitely darker on there, very smudgy looking. This one I just inked with the side. Now, one thing I forgot to mention when we're doing these, when these become vellum, they get more brittle. So I started to ink the edge on here, and you can see it ripped, very similar to how vellum does. So you need to be careful with that when you're doing it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew this one on. But for this one, because it did start to rip, I'm gonna show you how I did the washi tape to glue it on. All right, so I'm just gonna pick a washi tape that has a very similar fun color, and I'm gonna make sure it's longer than the sides, and I'm gonna do my best to, what do you want to call it, half it? Put half on the front, half on the back. And if you want to, you can add some glue to this to make it stick better. All right, so after I do the one side, I'm going to go ahead and just trim that off and trim it off. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two sides, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here just to make sure it sticks. As I say, I'm going to do the two sides first so that when it gets overlapped, okay, do not use paper behind it. All right, let's put some glue on here. And you probably can see the front is a little bit more on that side so that it's not shadowed through when I do the pocket on this side. I'm going to try my best to do that, but we'll see. You know, as soon as I say to do that, then that happens. Okay, so we're going to use this. I'm going to get my stamp pad out of the way. We're going to put a little glue on here. Move the paper out of the way and do this. Again, make sure it's bigger. And put a little less than half on the front. I'm looking, it's probably hard to see, but there's like 5 lines of dots, and I'm trying to aim that middle line on there. I think that one, oh, that one really crooked. Okay, we're going to redo that because that looks awful. All right, that's better. I can see the front line through there, and the back is a little shorter. All right. So as you can see, that's why I did the two sides so that that is overlapping both sides. And we're going to do, you don't have to do the top because you're not going to glue it the top down where you put in the pocket. But you want to do it for strength and to also make it look like a frame that's around it. All right, big enough, and 2 dots, and fold. All right, so now that's pretty even. You can almost see how this is really acting like vellum too, because anytime you get like a little scratch or bend on them, they get that white mark like a regular vellum. Like you're truly making a vellum, like you truly have printed paper vellum. Look at that. Very cool, right? All right, so for this, we're going to glue it down. I am going to use art glitter glue to glue it down and make sure this is facing the right way. Does it matter? Yeah, I think it goes that way because those flowers with the stems go up, even though the leaves, do I want the leaves up or the flowers up? I guess they go both ways. Okay, so we're going to hold that side and we're going to glue the 3 sides. Just putting the glue on the washi tape so it doesn't show through. And glue it where you want to. Trying to center it. There we go. All right, so now we have a faux vellum pocket. And not necessarily going to make any journal cards for these because I do have them already made, but I don't think this is going to go in there because it's wet, and so we're going to put that in there and not push it all the way down because it's glued, but you can see the flowers in the flower. Like I said, now if I had a butterfly one, that would work. I do have this card. It's got like a jack or a king on there. That shows through. How fun is that, right? Oops. See, that's why I didn't want to put a pocket in because it's starting to come up a little. All right, we're going to make sure that stays down. And if you wanted to decorate it any further with, say, some like washi tape or boo-boo tape, or if you wanted to add some sort of embellishments to the outside, this is just a little washi kind of ticket. Can do that. Glue that down if you need to. Sticker on. Put a little put a little tidbit on there. I think I want something a little bit more beige. See the other side. Let's do that. Just put a little ink on there. Yeah, just gonna kiss the little corners off, make it look a little less new. Yeah, put a little decoration at the bottom. Won't hide whatever you decide to put inside of the pocket. Cute, right? I like it. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and sew this one down, so I'll be right back with that. All right, here it is sewed, and I wanted to show you, I was going to start doing this beforehand. I used a beige thread on here. I thought it was kind of light, so I went over it with my regular distress and just ever so slightly kissed the threads and made them stand out just a tad more. It's a fun way to change your look of it. Gives it a bit of a shadow and a little bit more of a presence to it. So since these are sewn on, we don't have to wait for it to dry, and we have a voila. I have one that's a little bit, the flower that I made a little bit lower to put in there, and boom. How cute are those, right? So if you're making an invoice one and you want to make a card that goes with it, you can kind of focus where the item that you want to see through is. So like this one, putting something a little bit lower, even more lower than that one would make sense. Something like this where it's a little bit higher and in the middle, you can go ahead and do something like that because it is a scene on that a little bit better, right? So much fun. I love them. So much fun. And yeah, I think you can kind of go down a rabbit hole looking for thinner papers to turn into vellum and turning them into pockets. I mean, you can start with regular vellum, but why not make your own, right? I love it. Okay, well that is going to be it for me. I'm going to stop this project, turn off my iron. I think it's probably getting a little warm. And yeah, go from there. Okay, well, thanks so much for stopping by. I truly appreciate each and every one that has stopped by. Don't forget to hit the subscribe if you want to see some future videos. I've been working on my Bust a Scrap project. I got a few more in mind that I'm going to be doing soon. As well as don't forget to check out my eBay store. I've got my 50 count back into the store where I used to have the 100 ephemeras in there. They're now 50, so you know some of these are going to end up probably going into some of those packs, as well as my 6x6 papers. Yeah, those are still in the store. Those have been selling quite recently. Got rid of a whole bunch. I think I need to cut some more too, as a matter of fact. Okay, all right, that's it. Thanks so much for stopping by, and as usual, I hope you all have a wonderful and creative day. Bye for now.